Hey there. All right. So this is what we're talking about today. We're going to talk about why the 3D is an illusion, so to speak. So you want to stay tuned for this information. Hey everyone, it's Kim Velez, conscious life and success coach and licensed mental health therapist. So before we dive into this really fun, juicy topic, I love talking about like ignoring the 3D, stop reacting to the 3D, why the 3D is malleable, like all this really fun stuff. I want to remind you that if you feel like you need an ass kicking, if you feel like you need support, motivation, and just someone who has your back in this manifestation game, then I have several ways to do that. I have email coaching. I also have one-on-one private sessions. I have a paid Facebook group where I jump in twice a week. We do lives, Q&As, challenges. It's really fun in there and active. It's super supportive. So if any of that interests you, all the links you can find below. I also have an online course, Manifest Your SP Back and How to Keep Them for Good. That is below as well. If you want free services, I have that below listed too. So check out the description box. All the details are down there. Okay, so let's jump into this, right? So if you know your thoughts create your reality, if you understand what you're focusing on in your mind is what has to manifest, you don't have to believe it. You don't even have to fucking want it, because all of us have manifested shit we do not want. Okay? So what happens is you get a story going and you're focusing on that, and then that has to come into your experience, right? That has to manifest. So this is why you want to train yourself to not be so attached to the 3D perspective, to not be so attached to the version of someone in your 3D that maybe is not that favorable. And this takes practice and repetition to learn when what's showing up in front of your eyes isn't what you want, that you don't have this emotional meltdown, and that you're not assuming and affirming that nothing's changing and this isn't fucking working, and you know they're just doing this and they're stubborn and they're this and they're that and blah 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 blah. Because then what are you going to keep manifesting? And this is where you have to come into play and understand, how do I soothe myself? What do I need to do when I see myself emotionally reacting, when I see myself going down a mental diet that is not favorable for what I want? What do I do to help myself when I see that I'm paying way too much attention to the 3D? And even though I've been saying I'm persisting and I'm doing a mental diet and I'm affirming what I want, the minute something shows me different, or I don't see what I want to see in a certain amount of time frame, I just say, fuck it, it's not working, right? So the 3D is malleable because it can change like this. It's already changed, honestly. The minute you start thinking something different, it's already working behind the scenes that you can't even see, you're not even aware of, to start conforming and rearranging itself to match what's in here. See, when you're pushing out a new story, when you're pushing out new states, because that's what stories are, they're new states, then what's happening is things are moving. Things are already into play. This is why manifestation is instant. It is, because once you think it, the thoughts, it's already done, it's already transmitted, it's already out there. The problem is people don't experience it because there's, again, those gazillion thoughts afterwards that block and oppose and keep manifesting more of what you don't want. So the 3D is malleable. So when you start thinking something different, the 3D is already in movement. It doesn't matter if you can see it or not. It's already in movement to conform and change and match what's here. It's the whatever is out here has to match in here. So it isn't what's in here matches out there, right? It's out there matches in here. So your job is to always retrain yourself to go within, to focus on the version of the life that you want, to focus on the outcomes, to look at the version of who you are if you have what you want, to live in the wish fulfilled, to think from the end, to live from the end, to only entertain in your mind as much as possible the version of the person that you want to experience, no matter what is showing up out here. And this is how the people who persist in this are the ones that actually get what they want. They're the ones that actually master everyone as you pushed out and really live a fucking wild ass life of their dreams beyond belief. And it starts with you and ends with you, right? Because it's your reality. So you have to understand that I'm just playing this game. I'm practicing. I'm not going to keep affirming and believing that just because this is still in my experience that it means nothing's changing. You guys, you start a mental diet and like a week or two later, you have something of the opposite, right? Show up in your reality, the opposite of what you've been affirming. But it's like, hello, you've been affirming a shitty fucking story for like months, if not years. And then you just switched it up like a week or two ago and you already saw fucking movement. You already saw how powerful your mind is, that the 3D was already fucking conforming and changing to match what was going on in here. And then you have a hiccup in there somewhere, right? Which is just leftover shit of the old story in you, because I'm telling you right now, 99.9% of you have not changed your internal story in your favor. It's not your dominant story yet, because if you just started affirming something new and you've been playing this old story for a long time, it takes a little bit of time. It's a process. You're overcoming you. So this is why the 3D is an illusion, so to speak, because the minute you decide to focus on something else, the minute you bring into your awareness, your consciousness, this new way, this new story, a new reality, a new version of you, a new version of whoever, a new experience for you, and you persist in it, it has to manifest. It has to manifest. So when you find yourself wanting to react, this is, again, you have to train yourself to get detached from the 3D perspective. I know it's easier said than done some days, but this is what it's all about. This is the stuff you have to overcome, is giving up your power and forgetting how powerful you are and forgetting that you're a conscious creator, and that, okay, just because this showed up, it's not favorable, but like, okay, I have to remember who I am, all the power that I have. I have to remember that wherever I'm placing my attention right now is what's going to manifest. And I have to remember that this person's going no motherfucking where. This person's staying right here if that's what I'm choosing them to do. I just got to persist in connecting and awakening the state of them, the version of them that's more favorable to me. And Neville talks about this in his teachings. He talks about that all you're doing is awakening a state that's just lying dormant in them. It's already available in them. That version of them is already there. That's the infinite reality, right? Or infinite version of them in all the infinite realities. And all you're doing is you have to awaken it within you, in your mind, before it can awaken in them. So it isn't, it awakens in them first, and then it awakens in you. I wish. If that were the case, well, actually, I don't wish that, because that would be harder, because we'd have no power. So it's really about you focusing and living from the end and thinking from the end and doing that as much as you possibly can and training yourself that this is what's going to manifest. This is what I will experience at some point, and not attaching to the 3D that nothing's changed. Do you know, when I work with clients, like I'll get an email from them. They're like, nothing's happening, right? And then boom, all of a sudden, like the next email 2 days later, holy fuck, everything's just flooding in, right? And then sometimes I get an email like a week later, like, oh, the worst thing they wanted just manifested, right? And they're like, what the fuck? And they start flipping out, and then they go back into not believing, and they think none of this works. And they're like, I don't get it. I've been affirming, and now I'm getting this. And I'm like, well, because you just started affirming. Like, I wish it were that easy. For some people it is, because they've been working on their story and overcoming their shit for a long time. Like, I don't fucking know. Everybody's different, right? It's understanding that just look at your 3D as information. Your 3D is just showing you, okay, if I like what I see, great, I keep reaffirming that so I get more of that. If I don't like what I see, well, I don't focus on that then, right? I can look at it, I can accept it, I say, okay, it's there, but this is what I want instead. And I just persist in my mind on the focus and the awareness and the reality that I want to experience, because that has to project out and then reflect back to you. So it's malleable because it changes the minute you change your story about it. It's just most people don't allow themselves to experience the shift fully because they keep going back to the old state. They keep going back to the old concept of self, and they keep going back to the old story of the money or their life or their SP or whatever it is. So this is the whole game. This is what this whole game is about, is, you know, to persist. That's why I did a whole video on persist, because it isn't, I just persist for 2 weeks and then I give up the minute there's a fucking hiccup. No, you keep fucking persisting. Obviously you haven't persisted till it hardened into fact, because it didn't harden into fucking fact yet. So you also want to remind yourself too, like, even if I'm like, oh, I don't really believe this or whatever, like in law of assumption, I don't really believe in everyone as you push out, because some people feel that way, then I would say this, if I know my thoughts create my reality, then even if I don't know I'm going to get exactly what I'm hoping, the way I'm hoping it comes through, I know that whatever I'm focusing on, whatever story I'm telling about myself and my life is going to manifest. So I better make sure that those thoughts are things that I actually want to experience in my reality, because that is going to manifest. So this is always about understanding that even in the moments when the 3D really fucking sucks, because it can sometimes, I totally get it, right? It's knowing that, thank goodness, this is not permanent. Thank goodness that I am the operant power, and all I have to do is go back in my mind and keep focusing on the story that I want. Keep moving into self-concept of me having everything that I want. Keep moving into the version of these people that I want to experience, and dwell in that. The more you dwell in that, you're pushing it out, you're pushing it out, you're pushing it out. The fucking floodgates are gonna break and everything's coming in. But again, most of you stop short of it because you look at the reality in that moment and you're like, oh my God, this is it. Nothing's changing. It doesn't work. They're stubborn. Like, you act like they have all this power and like you have no control in your reality. So, this is what you have to strive to do if you want to manifest something. And this is about changing the contents of your mind. That's what this whole game's about. You are so powerful that you can manifest anything humanly possible, right? I think humanly possible. That's me, because miracles are humanly possible. You can manifest all this amazing stuff just by changing your focus, just by changing your thoughts. Like, holy shit, we're powerful, guys. So don't get attached to the 3D as if it's fucking permanent. Keep affirming your story. Even when I'm getting what I want, I'm still affirming more favorably for me. I'm not just going to stop, because if you stop, where does your mind go? Your mind's going to worry. Your mind's going to try to seek evidence to, say this isn't going to last long, or be careful, or don't do this, or if you spend too much money here, you may not make it back again. Like, it's going to go to all these things to try to protect you from stupid shit it doesn't need to protect us from. It's just doing its job. So we have to be the masters of our mind and choose the story and the reality that we want to live in. And we persist in that as much as we possibly can, so it becomes the dominant story in our mind, which has to fully manifest. And that is a dope ass life, my friends. So stick with it. Stop looking at your 3D, the perspective of what's happening in your 3D is that this is permanent and that you have no power, and do what you know to do. Use your power. You're the operant power. Focus on what the fuck you want and persist until it hardens into fact. So I hope you found this video helpful. Please like, share, and subscribe if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.